if you want to support the show, any of the shows, either this or whichever show, I'm not on right now because this is just a blanket ad for all of them, and the website, you can go to bewareofspoilers.com. In the description for any of the episodes of Beware of Spoilers, there is the option to donate. If you don't want to donate that way, you can donate directly through the website. We do have that, mwpnews.com. And if you don't want to support that way, then going to mwpnews.com will help out because we have ads there. We don't want to keep it, where there's a lot of ads. There's a few ads. But the point is, we want to make it so that way, we can sustain this for the long term. If people donate, we're never going to paywall anything, I don't think, as of right now. But you know, if people start donating, we'll start doing cooler and cooler stuff. Like donations are how we get to cover stuff like Tribeca and other, film festivals. And, we may be able to bring on more people to help out. So if you want to help out the show and you want more content from us, by all means, uh, even just going and giving us a 5-star rating on Spotify helps out a lot. But that's it. That's the only ad we'll have on the podcast ever. But here's whatever podcast you're going to be listening to. Good morning, and welcome to the Backlog Files. I am Adam. So I've been a little cryptic about this because I wasn't entirely sure if I was allowed to talk about the fact that I had a code for this game because the review embargo lifted this morning. I gotta look at the exact time so I can set this to go up at the right time. But the game in question, as the title will give away, is Everafter Falls, a new game from Akupara that is a farming simulator. Um, it's kind of a blend, really. And again, to be clear, per FCC or FTC regulations, this review is based on a code that was provided at no cost by Akupara Games. And thank you to them for that, but that we do need to disclose that. Besides that, the point we're trying to make is this game is a blend of kind of like the Animal Crossing and the Stardew Valley style of a farming simulator. If you've played one, you've kind of played the similar kind of setup where you are given control of a farm. You have to make the farm prosperous. The gameplay loop is kind of similar. You gotta collect shit. You gotta, there's a collection you gotta complete. There is like a dungeon you go and fight in, um, and then all that. If you've played one, you know what's going on here. I think the best way to handle this kind of a situation where we have a game that is, so well known within the genre, like not the game is well known, but like a genre that is not. How do I put this? Like, you're familiar with the genre. If you've played one farming simulator, you've played all the farming simulators. They kind of don't deviate too much from the same central gameplay loop. Whether you're playing Stardew Valley, whether you're playing Harvest Moon, whether you're playing Everafter Falls in this case, whether you're playing even like Animal Crossing or Disney Dreamlight Valley, it's the same general idea no matter how you play it. And I think the best way to kind of handle this is to address what works and what doesn't work within how they handle differently from what we would consider the industry standards, the Stardew Valleys or the Animal Crossings. Um, so let's go with that. I think that's the best way to handle this because I think this game is very well done. There's a lot that really works well, and I think that this is a game that I will be going back to repeatedly to play around in. I think there's a lot to have fun with here. Um, Number one, um, I think that the easiest thing to kind of talk about is the system by which you collect stuff. Like when we talk about games like this, you know, I think it is kind of closer to Animal Crossing in this, where there's a museum, you got to fill everything in, like you have to go and find stuff that go in the museum, your butterflies, your frogs, there's a fish tank you got to fill in, all that kind of stuff. Um, I think that the amount of stuff you have to collect is a little daunting, but it will keep you engaged for a long time. I think too that there's kind of a lot that is harder to get, that is more time dependent, because there are rarer butterflies and there are rarer, dragonflies and rarer, that kind of stuff. And to get them, what you have to do is you find, like when you're fishing, you'll find like a dragonfly nymph. While you're walking around, you'll find a caterpillar, that kind of thing. Um, I think the issue is that it takes a little, it takes a while to get these things to move through. So it'll take days to get these things. I also think that the terrarium doesn't hold enough for what kind of game this is trying to be, which is a little annoying for trying to do that, because you can get a terrarium, you can make your own terrarium, and then there's also the communal use terrarium, but you can only use that to incubate one at a time. Each one can only incubate one at a time. Um, Fortunately, there's a an event that happens in the fall where if you get enough points, you can buy a terrarium, because the terrarium is very hard to get the parts for to craft. Um, so I got the terrarium through that, like my own terrarium. That's not just the communal use one in the what's it called, in the museum, which gives me a second way to do this. And especially when you have the big butterflies that are going to come from the big caterpillars, that takes like 2 weeks in game to actually get it up to that point. Um, so it becomes a lot of like, not only are you trying to find these things, but there is an element of luck built into this time-based mechanic that can get a little bit annoying. Um, the the journal, or lack thereof, is kind of my biggest gripe about this. Now, if you're looking for, you know, let's put it this way: when you catch a fish, or you pick something up off the ground, or you mine something, and you pick something up that's in the collection somewhere, like you pick up gold for the first time, you pick up copper for the first time, there'll be a little star next to it. This tells you that it's in the collection, and you haven't put it in the museum yet. Okay, great. Like that's very helpful and very useful. Um, I I think that having the journal instead be a collection of books that you need to buy and put into into the broader into your house, that way you could interact with them and read them at 300 gold a pop. Um, that is a little bit of an annoyance. And granted, you don't necessarily need to buy them, because again, it tells you as you're going what you have, and you can go into the museum to do it. The problem is, if you need to on the fly, if you're hunting for something, the need to go back to your house and then have so much of your house devoted to doing this is kind of an annoyance. The same goes to something like the baking mechanic. There's a cooking mechanic, and there is also something where you have to submit food items that you have cooked into this, and it's that same kind of issue where you you do needing to go back and consult this makes it more time consuming than it should be. Um, just having a journal that's accessible from the pause menu would have been a lot more helpful. Um, Especially considering that, like, I think the gold is weighted pretty good. And I haven't encountered this yet, but I think that, like, because you can, I kind of sussed out from the crafting menu that because you can craft a new sword and a new, what's it called, and a new pickaxe and all that, if you die in a dungeon, you could lose it. I haven't died in the dungeon to figure that out yet. And I wasn't going to test it just for the sake of testing it, but that is something that I believe you'll be able to do that. But because of that, things like it takes 1 day instead of Stardew Valley's 3 days to upgrade your to upgrade your tools. There's a sliding scale of how much gold it costs to upgrade, and the same goes for how many pieces of whatever the next level up is to upgrade your equipment. Um, so that's something that's nice to be able to look at and be like, okay, so like it takes 5 copper and 1,000 to upgrade to copper, and then it's like it takes 10 and I think 2,000, um, or 10 and 5,000, and then as you go up, it costs more, um, which is an interesting scale to do it at, which kind of indicates to me that there is a element of you lose this stuff if you die, um, which it is what it is. I think the crafting is a little too not intense, but it is a little involved, and I think that some of the things are harder to come by, which does make it a little bit more difficult. That said, it's relatively easy to create a cascading series of successes um, with the pixie system, where there are pixies in the world. If you bottle it, you get a bottle early on in the game. You use that to catch pixie. You release it on a tree, you'll get wood every day. If you release it on a rock, you'll get stone every day. Um, Put right into this box at the pixie shrine, and then if you put food into the pixie shrine, there's a chance one will show up every day, so you can get more. I have four pixies, I think. The red pixie is one that doubles the output. So if you put the red pixie on a furnace, you'll get two gold bars if you put gold in there instead of one, and that kind of thing. The same goes for the combat system and the card system. Again, very easy to get a cascading series of successes that put you in a situation where it becomes a breeze. So if you're looking for a challenge, I don't think this is really a game for you. Um, because again, the speed with which you could end up in a way over leveled thing, which is what happened to me in the first dungeon, and I don't know if it's necessarily a random drop thing or if it's a this is this by design. I got a series of uh, equipment that made me so much more powerful that I was one-shotting things, and then that first boss just becomes a breeze, especially if you get the add-on for your pet that gives you the pet. That way, the pet can actually heal you. Um, which is again kind of interesting, especially considering what you get for beating that first boss. I haven't gotten to the second one yet because to get to the second one, you need to get water sap and the moonflower, and the moonflower you get once a month. The water sap is again cascading series of successes, or in this case, events easy to do. You get the tapper, you put the tapper on the maple tree. You gotta get the maple syrup. To get the maple syrup, you got to put it into an evaporator. To get the evaporator, you need to make two more of the hoppers, so that way you can get a super glue. And there's a series that there are quite a few things that you don't quite get explained to you. That you kind of just expected to kind of figure out on your own, which is fine, and I don't have a problem with that. But like at one point, you look at the requirements for some of the things, and it's like, okay, I need white wood. Where do I get white wood from? Okay, I need to go and I need to find a tree that'll give that. And my thought is, oh, it's like Minecraft. One of these trees will give white wood. Not the case. All the trees give base wood, like regular base wood. Um, okay, so where do I get the white wood from? Well, there's this one white tree that's down at the bottom of town. If you go into town and then go south, I feel this is an important tip for anyone who's playing the game. If you go south from town, there's a big white tree. If you release a green pixie or green or a rainbow pixie on it, and it harvests that for you, you will get that wood, and that's how you get the white wood. And the dark wood, you have to get the tree that gives the darker wood out. It's the same kind of, it's something that, again, not explained, you gotta figure it out for yourself. And I think that's kind of what I like about this, is the lack of hand-holding and the feeling of, oh, I figured it out, as you go. And, like, there's a bunch of things like that. That said, a guide of, like, oh, hey, if you, like, one of the things that, like, again, I'm gonna use Stardew Valley as the example, it does well is it kind of onboards you a little bit with, as you go, you get notices. You get mail like, oh, I'm offering this service now. Oh, I'm offering this service now. This kind of drops you in, and kind of, because it assumes you've played a game like this before, you kind of have to go around and explore and figure out what you have to do. It's like you find the museum. Oh, here's a museum. I have to collect things to put in the museum. Oh, here's a giant fish tank. As I fish, I will find fish to put in here. Oh, here's a town with a bunch of stuff. Um, and a bunch of stores. And I think the stores are kind of interesting because of all that. Again, the combat, I think the biggest missed opportunity is that there's no drops from the monsters. There's no loot from the monsters, which is kind of disappointing. As you're fighting through the caves have a very the thing that first came to mind was like Cult of the Lamb, Whereas like Room opens up the door, you go to the next room, you fight the monsters, it opens up the next one, you mine the stuff that's in there, you move on. Um, but yeah, I am really enjoying this game. There are a few bugs. I don't know if the update at release, which releases this week, I believe, will fix a lot of these bugs. I had an issue where on two separate occasions in the I keep calling it the mines, but it's not. It's like the portal to the dungeons. Um, in there on two separate occasions, I had a game-breaking glitch. I don't know what caused it. It just happened, and it just starts you because it auto saves at the end of every day. You just go back to the previous day, and because if I was gonna make a day of going into the dungeons, it's like I didn't lose that much progress. Um, I think some of the more advanced things arrive too easily at times, where it's like you can get like a pink what's it called? You get a pink a pink prize slip, which allows you to open up any of the pink boxes around town, um, and that can very easily be used to up your HP pretty early on in the game. Especially considering how plentiful sardines are, which is what you need to complete that mission. Um, I got at one point a watering what's it called? A watering drone, which kind of fills the role of a sprinkler in Stardew Valley, where it goes and waters your plants every day instead of having your pet do it. It's things like that that kind of continue to just you know push themselves and continue to just go. Um, what else have I got? Yeah, I think I did really enjoy this game. I know it sounds like I have a lot of gripes, but I think a lot of the things do work. Maybe I just haven't encountered it yet, but I would have liked an expansion of the inventory system. I know there's a way to expand your pet's inventory, but I would have liked an expansion of the main inventory that your character can have, um, and not just be like, oh, we'll add on some slots for your pet's inventory. Um, but yeah, I mean, and that's just one of those things where as you play, you figure out, all right, it's very focused on today's gonna be a fishing day, so I'm going to leave everything behind except for the fishing rod, and then I'm gonna go and get all the fish around, the entire map, and that'll be the day. Um, but yeah, I would very highly recommend this. This is a 5-star game on our scale. Definitely check it out. It's definitely worth your time. It does come out June 20th, which will be our, which is the release date. Um, Again, very highly recommend this game. Very much recommend going and checking it out. I believe it's a demo on Steam because I seem to recall playing a demo on Steam. Um, but yeah, it's very fun. It's very cute, and I do love the relationship between the animals too. That's another little add-on that's bonus from like Animal Crossing, is that the various animals who live in this town do have relationships, and there are relationships that way. There's no real relationship system between you and everyone else, but maybe it just is I haven't gotten far enough in the story to do that, um, and see what my role is in all that. But we'll see. But we'll wrap up there for today. Later this week, we'll be talking about Pokemon Dash, and then we are also going to do a special episode tomorrow about the Nintendo Direct. And we're going to talk about what I'm excited for, what I'm not regarding the new Nintendo Direct for the rest of this year. That is tomorrow, and I will be doing that after it happens. We'll wrap up there for today, and until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.